father died.
Above average.
Bobby big and Mike medium. We rejected that one because we thought we'd just get loads of bookings off of people who wanted to talk to their dead dads.
Bobby good and Mike rubbish.
No thank you.
Even though good was spelt with an E on the end.
What else? Marsh and landscape.
Fish and chips.
Shite and awful.
Keir and Prendeville. But seriously, all the greats have a name.
Something catchy. Something easy to remember.
Something that describes what they're like, you know, like little and large. One little, one large.
Cannon and ball. One round, one a cast-iron medieval artillery weapon.
Oh, Keith Harris and Oval. One Keith Harris, the other one, Orville.
It's an exciting time of year for us celebs, isn't it, Bobby?
It certainly is, Mike, because with only 31 shopping days to Christmas, it's Panto time.
Hang on. This isn't too topical, is it?
No, Panto's timeless, eternal.
The thing about Panto that's really great is that it's for the kiddies, for the little ones. They love it, because it's magical, don't they?
And also, it doesn't matter whether you can act or not, because it's for the kiddies, you know.
And there's not much chance of being shown up, because chances are the other people in it are clapped-out boxers and weathermen.
And sometimes you get to wear ladies' clothes. All in fun, for the kiddies.
And even though it's like a kiddie's story, sometimes you can get really risky jokes in disguise, so that the kiddies don't understand.
Because it's for the kiddies, you know, after all.
So when the dame comes on, oops, comes. I didn't even mean to do that one.
It's natural.
No, when the dame appears and says, "Oh, I do like a nice warm hand on my entrance," we all know she means, or he rather, he's talking about someone touching his arse. But the kiddies...
The kiddies, bless them.
They just think, oh, what's everyone laughing at? That wasn't at all funny.
Because they don't get it, you see.
They don't get it. They love it, but they don't get
little
it.
cotton socks.
In 1979, people all over were asking, when are the 70s going to end? And sure enough, on New Year's Eve, 1979, Maggie Thatcher brought the whole edifice of the 70s crashing around our platform souls.
Single-handedly, she ordered the start of a revolutionary new decade and named it the 80s.
Yep, and sure enough, the very next day, the 80s began. And it was a decade that was to last 10 years.
But before we look at that, this.
And apparently some businessmen have applied for permission to build a lighthouse 50 miles inland.
Who are you? I was about to ask you the same thing. Well, go on then. Well, there's no point now, is there?
Who's that ugly old geezer?
Well, I am the new head keeper.
The head keeper? Where'd you keep it?
Keep what?
Your head.
Under his hat. Under me hat. Listen, I am here in charge of this lighthouse. I've just rowed here.
But this place is surrounded by fields.
No wonder my arms are tired.
I'll just go up and polish me lens.
Oh! It is your lens, is it, then?
No.
Whose lens is it?
Lens.
Whose lens is it own?
He's a bloke who's got the matches.
Who likes the light that goes through the lens?
Well, haven't you got any matches of your own?
I've got a pair of socks that matches.
You cannot use a pair of socks as a lighthouse lamp.
You can if they're flashy.
You can if they're Now, listen, just go up there and get that lamp going.
You can't.
Why not?
We ain't got one.
There's only one thing for it. Take that and just run up and down that spiral staircase with that, OK? Go!
So let's take a magical mystery tour around Maggie's Britain. All aboard!
Hello. Is this the magical mystery tour around Maggie's Britain, boss?
Aye, aye, Captain. Step right up. Yo, let's weigh anchor and heave-ho.
Bob, aren't you mixing your metaphors a little?
What's a metaphor? Hey, we're not moving. Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Bobby.
Hello, Mike.
Hello. Hello. Buongiorno. And welcome to part 4 of Weird and Wonderful's Guide to How to Be a Celeb.
Sorry, what was that buongiorno there?
Italian. I just thought we could give the show a bit of a European feel, you know.
Why?
No reason.
Well, don't, all right?
All right.
All right?
All right.
Right.
All right, all right. This week, we're going to show you how important it is, if you are a celeb, to have a book on the shelves in time for Christmas.
That's right. Now, these are really easy to make. They take about half an hour at most. And this is what you need. You need sellotape, right? Paper and sticky back plastic.
And pictures. Pictures are very important, because otherwise you have to think of funny words to fill the space.
You see, we've used some photographs of us on holiday mucking about. Not especially funny, but we arranged these so it looks like a funny photo album. And put funny captions on, like here's one of Mike with a seaside donkey, and I've written underneath, Mike and his first ever girlfriend.
You what?
You see, something like that is good if you can get some thinly veiled sexual innuendo in.
And here's one of Bobby eating an ice cream, wearing an I Hate Margate hat, and I've written underneath, a big bloody bastard.
Don't start. All right?
Me?
Just don't start.
Anyway, this is the finished article, one I did earlier.
Oh, God.
Weird and Wonderful's big summer holiday fun book.
Oh, ideal for Christmas, in fact.
OK, well, as you can see, it's packed full of pictures of us and scripts of all the funny routines that we do.
And on page 2...
What?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing, bad joke.
Can we use it?
No, carry on.
And when you've done it, it's ready to go up on the shelves in Smith's, along with ones like Giles Brandreth's book of pullovers he's worn on Countdown,
The Nigel Rees book of funny road signs, the Are You Being Served scripts.
101 uses for a piece of dog poo.
Anyway,
One thing puzzles me, Jackie. What is a metaphor?
Well, Bob, think of a metaphor as a bus. Okay, you're traveling forward through time along a political road. There are no U-turns, they're standing room only downstairs, and you gotta stop at the lights.
With you so far, Jackie.
Okay, now imagine you're in the driver's seat. Got that?
Okay.
Okay, release the handbrake.
Indicate to move off?
No, check the rear view mirror. Because you never know if a political adversary that you fired in the past in a tiff about a helicopter isn't gonna challenge you from the leadership and sneak up behind.
That's all very well, Jackie, but what's my lips? What's a metaphor?
I don't know what it's for.
what caught your eye in the papers today, Mike?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Bobby, because I didn't know you were going to.
Why don't you do the funny caption to this picture from the Telegraph?
Well, who's that?
Well, I don't know. I'm a comic, not a pundit. How am I supposed to know who that is?
I'll tell you who it does look like, though. That bloke at the
Oh, yeah.
the Ken Goodwin Centre in Batley.
In Batley, that's right. The stage manager bloke.
What's that
yeah.
thing he used to say?
Oh, that really funny thing he did. What was it?
Don't bring food in here! Who do you think you are?
That was it, yeah.
I wonder what he's doing in the paper.
Well, an obituary with a bit of luck.
Hey, keep it light.
Yes, well, constitutionally speaking, the situation is absolutely fascinating. If Mrs. Thatcher loses the first ballot, she doesn't necessarily have to pack her bags and go. According to the Constitution, she can nip out the side door and sneak in again through the tradesman's entrance. If she loses the first ballot and then goes on to lose a second and a third ballot, she can still stay on, unless there is a vote of no confidence in her, in which case she would be expected to barricade the doors of Downing Street, grab a machine gun, and yell, "You'll never take me alive, sucker." The Queen herself will then invoke the ancient statute of residual governmentship, last enacted in 1172. This involves the Queen petitioning Mrs. Thatcher to stand down and then having a cracking good laugh. This in itself could provoke a constitutional crisis, especially if the Queen says, as she is most likely to, "Thank God we've got rid of you, you mad bitch. I've waited 12 years for this moment." If Mrs. Thatcher still refuses to go, the Queen may ask Mr. Kinnock to form a government, but that would be assuming she wanted a really serious laugh. There is even one last scenario in which the Queen will appoint a buffalo as head of state, find herself being chased down an endless corridor by a collection of Freemasons wearing cheesecloth togas, singing the Gaza version of Fog on the Tyne, and then wake up to find it was all a dream.
Every minute of every day, Eagle Star opens 8 insurance policies for people all around the world. Eagle Star covers your world.
When the Tories came to power in June of 1979, it was the middle of the winter of discontent.
Made glorious summer by this grossest daughter of Grantham.
Small point, Jackie. Wasn't her old man's place more of a delicatessen?
Don't do yourself down, Bob. That's a major point. It was Maggie's experience of running a deli that gave her the insight to run a major league national economy.
But there she learned Rule 1. Don't be too familiar with the staff.
Rule 2. After handling money, always wash your hands.
And most importantly, Rule 3, written in gold leaf above the shop doorway. Let them eat coconut macaroons.
Oh, what about Viennese rules?
No, leave that to the Japanese.
They wouldn't chuck me out. Not after 11 years. I've been a mother to them and a father. I gave them Douglas Hurd, John Major, John Selwyn Gummer. Yes, well, despite that, I've given my all for this country. But it was me who sold off council houses. It was me who rescued the Falklands, personally. I invented compact discs. I wrote, Do They Know It's Christmas? And I am Paul Gascoigne. They couldn't get rid of me, could they? Oh, God, only an hour to go. Right, come on, girl. Time for a brush-up. Make yourself look a bit glam. Dear Lord, please let me win. I'll never be horrid to anyone ever again, except the French, and who cares what they think. And finally, oh, wow, now I can face those bastards. Right, now to shove this in Michael Heseltine's ballot box.
So, what did this let them eat coconut macaroons policy actually mean?
Well, for many millions of Britain's overworked manual laborers, it meant around 40 hours a week of extra leisure time.
Lucky guys, but there were some worked ideologists in the trade union movement who had the gall to complain.
This was Maggie's darkest hour. She thought long and hard about the complex history of British industrial relations.
She agonized over the delicate issue of workers' rights, enshrined in the noble tradition of the trade union movement.
And she formulated an ingenious political solution.
Screw 'em.
End of problem.
Well, a foregone conclusion, really.
Oh, absolutely. It was no contest.
I was never in any doubt, and I always made it perfectly clear where my loyalties lay, in a very discreet, secret sort of way.
Yes, well, my voting intentions were always an open book to anyone who cared to hide in my wardrobe and overhear me talking in my sleep.
Well, thank goodness Michael won.
Yes, and victory for Heseltine is a victory for common sense.
I'm jolly glad we all voted for him.
Wrong version. Do the other one. What?
A bit of confusion there. The thing is, we had to write this programme earlier on today before the result came in, so we ended up with two different versions and we got them mixed up. So here comes the correct one now.
Well, foregone conclusion, really.
Oh, absolutely. It was always going to go to a second ballot.
I was never in any doubt, and I always made it perfectly clear that I would vote for one of them.
Well, I expressed my intentions, totally frankly, in a whole series of forthright interviews with my dog.
Well, thank goodness a second ballot won.
Yes, a victory for a second ballot is a victory for common sense.
Oh, God, let's face it, we're stuck again with a raving blonde egomaniac.
Well, there you are. And notice the rather clever way that the punchline could have applied equally well to whoever won. Well done, writers, I say. Or at least that's what they've written, anyway. But we wrote another version of the sketch, just in case there had been a completely unexpected upset, and there's no point in letting it go to waste, is there?
Well, what a completely unexpected turn-up for the books.
Yes. Who'd have thought that the entire House of Commons would come down with a nasty touch of rabies, and then the House of Lords kidnapped en masse by hairy mutant ninja turtles from outer space, creating emergency legislation to be passed which caused a snap national referendum.
I don't know. I thought it was on the cards from the beginning.
Well, anyway, thank goodness Gazza won.
Yes, and a vote for Paul Gascoigne is a vote for... well,
Oh, God, let's face it, we're stuck again with a raving blonde egomaniac.
Maggie's screw the unions policy was paying big dividends. All the economic indicators were rising as one.
Inflation, 72.8 and rising.
Unemployment, 48 million and rising.
Up 2 zillion, the balance of payments deficit.
And coming in at number 1, Bucks Fizz with Land of Make-Believe.
This was Maggie's darkest hour. She was the first British Prime Minister ever to achieve a popularity rating below 0.
Uh-oh, there was an election just around the corner.
Her first thought was screw 'em.
But that would have meant screwing the Constitution first.
That was going to take too long.
Maggie agonized long and hard over the domestic crisis and came up with a brilliant plan.
Screw the Argentinians.
End of problem.
Here's a sketch we recorded earlier charting the misery of Thatcher's supporters after her shock defeat.
Unfortunately, we recorded it before the result came out, so we had to redo the sound.
So bear with us, if you would.
So, that's the end of the first ballot.
Yes, and our candidate won! Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, joy.
Let's celebrate. Drinks all round, chaps.
Certainly, sir. Coming right up.
So it's back on course and full steam ahead.
Yes, I'm going to treasure this newspaper as a souvenir of the happy day.
I say, how about letting off this party popper?
Bags, I go first. Cheers!
In Maggie Thatcher's political career, the Falklands crisis was a pivotal turning point.
Reclaiming the Falkland Islands for Britain took guts.
Fortunately, none of hers.
As most of the British Navy arrived back from the South Atlantic, Maggie masterminded a dramatic increase in the sale of Union Jack boxer shorts.
There's nothing like being a flag-waving, slogan-gibbering, jingoistic moron to enhance your political reputation. And that's just what Maggie did.
Soon the grape was back in Britain.
And Maggie was back at number 10.
End of problem.
Always rather fancied joining the Wrens as a little girl, until I found out that all they were allowed to do was write memos, drive trucks and serve the odd vol-au-vent, and all that without even getting their feet wet. Because in the past, the Navy has always rejected the idea of women at sea on the basis that a pretty girl aboard ship would just distract the men from their duties, which would be a bit worrying if it were true, wouldn't it? Here we are, we've spent millions and zillions of pounds on state-of-the-art killing machinery, yet we could still lose a war because of a pair of breasts and a wiggly bottom. Doesn't actually say much for the women's self-control either. Makes a Wren sound like a bunch of Barbara Windsor clones at an Ann Summers party. But the big news is the Royal Navy has finally changed their policy. As from this month, women are allowed to play on the boats with the big boys. It's quite a big step for women's equality, if you're not too fussed what you're stepping in, because personally I can't think of anything worse than being stuck in the middle of an ocean with only 100 or so spotty masturbators and a Rod Stewart album for company. I mean, what can they be thinking of? I'm all for equal opportunities. I think we should be allowed to do whatever it is we want to do, but just because we can do it, it doesn't mean it's a good idea. Rumour has it, American servicewomen posted to the Gulf have been spending their last weekends in the US shagging their brains out in the hope of getting pregnant before war starts. It seems to be working. Apparently, they're being sent home faster than you can say immaculately timed conception. So things haven't really changed that much. Some members of the armed forces are still more equal than others, only this time round it's the women. Now, some of the servicemen may say the women are being hypocritical, but maybe that's just a touch of womb envy. After all, I'm sure some of the men would do the same if they had the chance. Because let's face it, military action is a bit like the Wimbledon tennis championships. You might miss a bit of the atmosphere, but you're going to be a hell of a lot more comfortable if you're watching it at home on the telly.
As soon as Maggie sat down to her second term, she conducted a thorough review of the entire economic situation.
And she concluded there was something rotten in the state of Denmark.
Heck, not her problem.
Danish problem.
But there was something rotten in the state of Britain, too.
Britain's captains of industry were prostrate before her, begging, pleading, tugging their forelocks and crying, "Maggie, Maggie, Maggie, help us, lead us, guide us, tell us what to do."
This was Maggie's darkest hour. She thought long and hard and came up with a brilliant solution.
Screw 'em, let 'em sort out their own mess.
End of problem.
And lo, thus was born the enterprise economy.
It's a fascinating issue, isn't it, this whole leadership struggle?
Isn't it? I'm particularly Michael Heseltine's role. I mean, as a matter of fact, when we realised that this show would clash with the first ballot, we did some background research into Heseltine's career and came up with this photograph of him in his Oxford days.
Yes, he looks quite young there, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, but take a look at this picture, discovered in the actor's directory, The Spotlight. The name of this actor is Chris Lang. Put both pictures together, and I think you'll agree there's more than a passing resemblance. Chris, are you Michael Heseltine?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Baghdad's been invaded by a load of septic frogs. Nuclear bomb on Moscow. Queen has rabid dogs. These stories happened yesterday. You wouldn't read them here. There's only been one story, which I wish would disappear. Oh, how I hoped they'd all have gone away this morning. The bulletins and articles galore. The endless stream of pundits leaves me yawning. Or wake me up if I begin to snore. Oh, how I prayed that everything would be concluded. Not a second ballot, please, dear Lord. Let me live a life that's free of politicians. I'm afraid that all my prayers have been ignored. No more Marcus, no more Cecil, and no more Kenneth, please. And no more experts waffling on, I beg you, on my knees. No more computer graphics, no more analysis. There's nothing they have left unturned, or is there? Yes, there is. And now we've got another week of speculation, of nothing else to listen or to read. It's a bloody funny way to run a nation, on vanity, pomposity, and greed. There's claptrap on the one hand and bullshit on the other. I haven't seen an MP yet who wouldn't sell his mother. Send me on a package tour that's somewhere south of Dover. Don't care who wins as long as I'm not back before it's over. Wouldn't mind if mortgage rates were going to alter. But am I the only one to find it strange that out of all this kerfuffle there's one certainty, that absolutely nothing's going to change?
Speaking.
Commissioner Drabhole's office.
Modern technology can make a fool out of anyone, and the new Sony E-Series Trinitron is no exception. Because with 3 separate speakers and Nikon digital stereo, the sound is so good, it's hard to tell which is the TV and which is the real thing. Sony, why compromise?
It seems Arthur has built up quite a following, telling everyone about Catameat's new tastier recipe, even though the last thing they want is his autograph. Catameat. Arthur wouldn't put his name to anything else.
Imagine, if you will, Britain's heavy industrial base is a clapped-out London omnibus, hogging the road and spewing out dirt behind.
It's broken down, Jackie.
You're catching on fast, Bobby. But to the rescue, the enterprise economy.
For Maggie had surrounded herself with men of inventive genius, men like Clive Sinclair.
This was Clive's answer to everything.
The Sinclair C5. You're looking at transportation's future. Hit the floor, Jackie.
Out of the road, butthead. The old must make way for the new.
Now shove over, Mrs. Stavely.
Here, what's going on?
Making room for the new resident.
That's for someone jolly important.
Oh, very good, Colonel. How did you know?
First time you've cleaned this bloody place in 10 years.
Well, I'm not supposed to say anything, but speaking confidentially, It's Mrs. T.
Oh, God, not another bloody nutter.
No, she's not a nutter, Colonel. She's just been a bit confused lately.
Here, what's he mean by Mrs. T? What's he going on about?
Now, I want you all to make her feel very welcome. After all, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be in a nice place like this.
I hope he doesn't mean Mrs. Thompson from Lobelia Gardens. Right stuck-up, toffee-nosed bitch she is.
Oh, shut up, you silly cow. Oh!
I can't stand the woman.
Oh, no, come on, Mrs. S. I'm sure she's not as bad as she's painted.
You don't even know Mrs. Thompson.
We're not talking about the same woman, are we?
Sell her grandmother for a couple of bob, she would.
Oh, perhaps we are.
Do you know, she's even got neck curtains in her garage.
Christ, isn't it time for your injection or something?
Oh, that reminds me. Must get the medication ready for Mrs. Thatcher.
What does she need that for?
I'm sure we'll think of something.
By now, Maggie was the heavyweight champion of the political world.
It seemed as if she was invincible.
She took on all comers.
Michael Foot,
Kerpow! Arthur Scargill!
Biff, Sinn Féin,
Zamu! They all hit the canvas like ninepins.
But Maggie was becoming increasingly worried about the state of the nation's health.
This was Maggie's darkest hour.
She thought long and hard about the ever-growing numbers of old people.
She agonized over the suffering of the sick.
The ever-longer waiting lists.
The underpaid and overworked doctors and nurses.
Screw 'em. That was Maggie's brilliant response.
End of problem.
What you're about to witness looks like fiction. It isn't. Tony and I are real doctors, and these events occur on wards throughout the country every day. Hi, Tony. How you doing?
She's dead. I should have put the potassium in the bag and put it straight in the vein, and she died.
Nice one. The relatives here yet?
They've just arrived.
How many?
4 men.
Who?
Well, all bigger than me.
No, don't worry, Tony. We all kill patients. Look, it's the only way to learn. Look, you better get ready to speak to them.
Oh, I can't speak to them.
Look, Tony, you killed it. You speak to the relatives.
I didn't kill her. I didn't.
Fine. She slipped through your fingers.
She slipped through my fingers.
Now, look, you've really got to go for the sympathy vote.
Right.
Now, look at me. What am I wearing that you're not?
Glasses.
Exactly. I don't need to wear these, but I've chosen these warm, empathic frames because it looks as if I care. Without them, I look like a killer. With them, I look as if I've tried my best. Also, they're not going to punch you if you're wearing glasses either.
No.
Now, look, you've got to have a Breaking Bad News to relative's face as well, so tilt your neck slightly and quiver your top lip as if you're grieving with them and say, "She's peaceful now," as sincerely as possible.
Right. She's peaceful. I can't. I've got the giggles. I get the giggles when I'm nervous.
Look, put your tongue in your lower lip, like this.
Okay, all right.
Okay, you can still speak.
She's peaceful now.
Just.
Yes.
And the relatives won't punch you if you've got a speech impediment. That's great.
Why can't you make me laugh?
Look, take your pen out. Put your pen in your mouth, okay? Sideways. That's right. And you can still smile and speak, and they'll never rumble you. Look, that looks great.
Okay.
Yeah, off you go.
All right.
Honestly, I'll bleep you in 2 minutes if you're not out, all right?
Amazing. No, they bought it.
Oh, great. Well, look, let's nick the fruit and the watch before the nurses get here, all right?
Right.
By now, Britain was in a big bang boom.
The enterprise economy was the engine. Leaner, fitter, stronger, and capable of leading Britain's industry into the 21st century and beyond.
And the air was thick with the buzzing of new buzzwords.
Words like yuppie,
Filofax,
Vodafone,
low interest rate mortgage.
Everything was for sale.
Britain had turned into Maggie's bargain basement.
Hey, let's remember, she didn't do this alone.
Heck no.
She was backed up by an able team of high-flying crack cabinet ministers. Screw 'em.
That was the only policy she knew.
End of problem.
Margaret, could we have a quick word, please?
It is rather urgent.
Not the sort of thing that could wait to say noon today.
Ah. Oh, that's all right. No need to stand.
Shh, don't tell her yet.
I'm sure there are a lot of nice rest homes in Dulwich and luncheon clubs.
This can be the happiest time of your life if you plan for it.
As someone once said, greater love hath no man, a woman, than she lay down her life to stop that cocky bastard Heseltine.
I think what he's trying to say is we've had a word with all the people who are going to vote for you.
And he's switched his support to Michael.
What we need here It's a futile gesture, Margaret.
It's all over, dear.
Finished. The end.
Oh, no, come along. No need for tears. There you are.
I mean, all you have to do is say you were wrong.
Margaret?
Margaret?
She's unconscious.
Right. Let's kick the shit out of her.
Great coffee, Gareth. Oh, well, I like it anyway.
What's for dinner, Mum?
Oh, more stuff with OXO in it. Go and pass your exams. I'd like a pint of Carling Black Label, please. I bet he drinks Carling Black Label.
If you want to get on the beach before the Germans, get up really early and put a sign on the beach saying, no Germans.
You only fit a gigantic mountain once, so fit the best. Everest.
Excuse me, can you lend me an AA man's uniform, please?
No, but I know a man who can.
By now, all Maggie's policies were paying out huge dividends across the globe.
The world was surfing along on a tidal wave of change.
Now Maggie was on the board, hanging left and shooting the two.
The Cold War was over, the Berlin Wall had crumbled, nation was hugging nation as Europe was turning into a pan-continental love-in.
Screw 'em. This was Maggie's brilliant policy on Europe.
End of European problem.
Oh, Nappy, Nappy, you make me so happy. Come, make mad, passionate love with me.
Not tonight, Josephine. Now, where is that English prisoner? I wish to interrogate him. Send in the prisoner.
Okie dokie, Shorty. All right, all right.
Hello, old boy. Oh, dig those boots. Are they Wellingtons?
No, as a matter of fact, they're mine.
They're much better than yours, aren't they, Nappy? Yours are always too tight.
Not too tight, Josephine.
We will take you, you tyrant. Shall we say Waterloo, 1815?
Waterloo, 1815.
All right, you Gallic symbol.
Now tell me, what are you doing with all my brave Frenchmen you were keeping prisoner in Chatham?
Ah, the plot. Right, well, they will stay with us, they will eventually die, and then they will be buried. And shall we say in about 175 years' time, they will become part of a building site.
You mean?
Yes, they will become part of the foundations of a new Europe.
Thank goodness that sketch is over.
You can say that again.
Now let's go and get tight.
Not too tight, Josephine.
By now, Maggie had achieved new heights of popularity.
Her introduction of the poll tax had caused millions of people to gather here, in Trafalgar Square, in spontaneous celebration.
But then, tragedy struck.
The arrival of the 1990s.
Maggie was taken completely by surprise.
Screw the 90s. That was her automatic response. End of problem, she thought.
But the 1990s had an answer. Screw you, Maggie. End of Maggie.
We'll never see her like again.
We certainly won't. I mean, we certainly won't, Mr. Brownose. Can I get you another drink?
Yeah, make it a treble.
Right.
It's a tragedy, a real tragedy, a tragedy of Aristotelian proportions.
I don't watch Channel 4, me.
Nothing befitted her dignity more than the manner of her leaving.